You are listening to Turning 75 When Yesterday I Was 16, the place where we can talk about the great things that got us where we are today, old, outrageous, and out of sight. I am Bonnie, and today we're going to stand up and be proud as we reminisce about the great old days. Right now, we're in the Easter season, and it is bringing back so many memories to me and realization of how things have changed from when I was a kid. Where I lived, schools were closed for the week before Easter, and it was called Easter week, not spring break. School districts generally in the surrounding areas were closed either the week before or the week after Easter Sunday. But you know what? Also, where I lived, the schools were closed for all of the major Jewish holidays in September and October. I can't remember them all, but it was like Yom Kippur and Rosh Hashanah, and we called them Jewish holidays. Schools were closed. We called it as we say it. We did not make up names for what it was. It was Easter week. It was Jewish holidays. It was the Christmas break versus winter break. Things have changed. We're now becoming a little bit more sensitive and culturally correct. So school closings are not specific to religions, which in my opinion is a good thing because there's so many different backgrounds and religions represented now in our society, and that expands our knowledge generally and culturally, and I like it. However, I do miss the pomp about the Easter season. You know, pomp and circumstance. What could be better than going out and getting all new clothes for the holy day of Easter? And I mean new undergarments and socks, shoes, dresses, coats, gloves, and of course the hats. And I'm going to tell you something, nothing beat watching the women come to church in outfits that could literally blow your mind. The hats that they were sporting were loud and proud. I loved it. I live near Atlantic City, New Jersey, and on the boardwalk along the beach, Easter Sunday afternoon was a parade. Literally. People from surrounding areas like Philadelphia, New Jersey, New York, they would all come in the afternoon and go on the boardwalk to strut their stuff. Newspapers on Easter Monday would have pictures of the best outfits and the most outrageous outfits because our generation, we knew how to dress. When it said, okay, put on your best clothes, put on your glad rags, we knew how to do it and how to represent. And you know what? It wasn't just the women. No one could outdress a man from our generation. When they put on their suits, their shoes, and hats, them men look good. They would tilt that hat to one side and stroll, not walk, but actually stroll down the street. And some men even added a cane to the representation. No other generation did it better. We had swag and we knew how to use it. When the boomers did something back in the day, they did it full out and they did it right. Remember Sunday dinner after church? It was a smorgasbord of flavors. Now, I got to admit, it was our mothers and our grandmothers that were in the kitchen, and they had the lock on frying chicken that was crispy and crunchy on the outside and juicy on the inside. Add the macaroni and cheese, the sweet potato casserole, mixed greens that had been simmering all morning, freshly baked bread. Wow, that was some good eating and a good appreciation of the festivity of that Sunday after church meal. Families would get together, young, old, and Sunday dinner was served around 2 o'clock. Everyone would converge on somebody's house. And it was just fun. I remember I could see all my cousins at one time, and we would just be doing our thing, take off that Sunday hat and go outside and play double dutch and jump rope in our brand new Sunday shoes and get in trouble. But it was just a really good time Sunday afternoons after church. It seemed to be around back in the day, the weather was usually warm around Easter time. It was much warmer than it is now. And Easter week wasn't just a time of celebration of Easter. It was it was traditions to do other things as well. Now, my mom was a school teacher, so she had off when schools were closed, which was good in some ways and bad in other ways. Spring cleaning was a thing in the house where I was raised. And since my mom was a school teacher and she had the week off, we had to join her in the tradition of spring cleaning the entire house. Like they say it down south, from the rooter to the tooter. It was wiping down the walls, cleaning the soap bases, taking all the dishes out the cabinets to clean the cabinets. I mean, we cleaned it from the top to the bottom. And spring cleaning is a ritual that I continue to this day. Once a year, it's usually around Easter time, because it was when spring was coming in. And I will clean my entire house. Maybe not as good as my mom did, as I'm getting kind of old, but it's just a tradition. When I do it, I open all the windows, blast some really good cleaning music, which is any music that gets you moving. And I kind of have fun with it. Now, I am a little bit OCD about cleaning. So, I'm not going to go there. But to me, it is like I'm cleaning out the house, I'm cleaning out the old, I'm making room for the new. It's like cleaning out my mind. I happen to love to go in my kitchen, open a cabinet, and see that it's empty because I am a minimalist. I don't like a lot of junk around me, and I don't bring things into my house that I know I'm not going to use. So I like to see empty spaces. It just makes me feel so much better. I know we'll talk about the psychiatry and all that kind of stuff later on. During this week, I'm at my daughter's house and I'm helping her spring clean her house. And some people hate cleaning, but to me, it's kind of relaxing. Anyway, back to the subject. A couple of weeks ago, I saw an article online about the trend of burping your house. And I was like, burping your house? What does that mean? So, of course, I started reading the article and trying to understand what this whole burping your house was all about. Actually, it was about, what do you think? Open up your windows and let the fresh air blow through your house. That was called burping your house. So I'm like, is this a new concept? But I realized from looking at some of my neighbors' houses and windows, most people never open their windows. They go from heating the house to cooling the house with air conditioning. They never let the fresh air enter their home. The guy who lives next to me, his units are always running, and he doesn't open the blinds. I'm not being nosy. I'm just noticing things, okay? I've never seen him with his windows open. I sometimes think, oh, the air in his house must be horrendous. It must be stale and old. But a lot of people just don't do that. So I guess now they can say, open the windows and burp your house. Now they have a name to it. So now I guess it's a thing for you to do. I like the fresh air coming into my house. I like the sunshine coming into my house. So I have a bright house. As soon as the weather starts to turn from cold to spring like weather, my windows are up. I let the air come through the house. Some of our ideas may be old. Some of the things that we do may be old fashioned. But you know what? They are solid. Now, some of these memories are Easter memories, but they transcend all other times of celebration as well. What traditions are we sharing today? What traditions of our family will we leave for our kids to have memories of? Sometimes we live in the moment versus in the memory. I like creating memories. I am glad at the family memories that I have, because those memories mean so much to you when you get to be my or our age. What was better or what is better than sitting around with some of your family members and just sort of hanging out? And what happens? You start to share thoughts of events and people and happenings. and just being alive and living with some of the laughter and some of the tears, but the memories that we can all sit around and share. It's a place where we don't have to pretend, we don't have to pose, we don't even need to say a word because the memories that are in our hearts do all the talking. So when I think about the memories of Easter, it brings back the memories of summer down Atlantic City. I learned how to swim in the ocean. I'm still not a big pool person. I don't see the point, especially now that I live 5 minutes from the beach. If I want to go into the water, I would go to the beach. I'm not going to sit at a pool. And I remember the days of hanging out the window when our parents went out for the nightlife in Atlantic City back in the day when Frank Sinatra and all those big people would come. Well, they'd leave all of us grandkids alone in the house. And the ages range from infants to the early 20s. And we'd just be hanging out the window, having a good time. We never got into a lot of trouble. We were just kids having fun. And those memories will always be in my heart. You can call the baby boomers old fashioned. You can say we don't do those types of things anymore. But to me, you're missing out. I am so glad I live in these times. The 1950s, those years from then up until really now, were the best of times, the best years of being alive because we saw so many changes and we benefited from those changes. Now, things are changing now. Will we benefit? I don't know. And I may sound morbid and mean spirited to say, sometimes I think of what the future holds for us here in the United States. I tell myself, I don't care. I won't be here to see it. I'm glad I lived when I did. I think it was the most important and exciting times in the history of the United States because we used all of our senses every single day. And I loved every minute of this exploration because to me, it was the best of times.